Knock, knock, everybody. Good morning. Hello to everybody out there in the world. Welcome once again to me flying solo on Star to Stone. And you all know who I am. How do I turn this back on? Oh, there we go. There we go. And now you can see me. Hello, everybody. I am here to have a little chat about crystals and stones and some of the things that may be going on in the world of crystals and stones that you may come across in stores and on in shows that you go to. I went to a crystal and rock show last week, and yeah, bought a few little bits and pieces, but I was very well behaved, strangely. Anyway, morning, Rob. There's Rob. Who else is visiting today? Anyway, so if you've got any questions, then please put them in the comment section and I will try and read them and we'll take it from there. So, what's going on today? Well, as I say, I'm talking about various things that you may come across. And this thought popped into my head. I didn't know what I was going to be talking about today until middle of the week, or rather middle of last week, about things that are happening and when you go into a store or a show, like I say, what you're going to be actually buying when you're there, because there are stones and crystals out there that have been changed in one way or another to appear to be something else. Now, as we're going through the show, one thing I think it's important to say is whatever information is coming through today and whatever it may connect to with stones and crystals that you have in your own collection, the important thing is not to worry about it, because the stones and crystals in your collection are the ones that call to you anyway, and they're the ones you're supposed to have. So regardless of exactly what they may or may not be, you're supposed to have them. So, first one I would like to bring up is citrine. And most of us have quite a fondness for it because it's quite a joyful stone. Member of the quartz family, and one that is quite readily available in one form or another in a lot of stores. But natural citrine, purely natural, 100% citrine, is comparatively rare compared with, well, especially compared with quartz, but also compared with amethyst. And morning, Neshi. Morning, everybody. Anyway, so, and I'm going to bring up a picture now for you to have a look at. So, this is a piece of amethyst from an amethyst geode, which we've all seen the churches or cathedrals, depending on what name they give them, the big impressive geodes that you can get full of amethyst. Well, now I can't give you a comparison on this. Well, I can sort of, but anyway, I can't give you a comparison picture, but you will often find pieces like this in the form of citrine. But citrine doesn't grow like this. Citrine doesn't form in this way. When you see a piece of citrine in this geode form, it's actually heat-treated amethyst. I know, shock, horror, mad, crazy insanity. There's another piece that I've got here that I want to bring on. This one. We often find citrines in this way. This is a piece of citrine, but again, it's not natural citrine. This is heat-treated amethyst. Did I put in a comparison? I can't even remember. I'll have a look in a minute. So again, this is heat-treated amethyst. It doesn't. This is very. It's basically the dogtooth style one. It's got like a white root in and goes either into the amethyst form or, in this case, the citrine form. But it's heat treated, and when you heat treat amethyst, it changes its color into citrine. So it's important that we know what we're buying. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with heat-treated amethyst. It's just not natural citrine. So if you see these pieces out there in the world, and you will everywhere, then at least you know what it is. Now, if the piece calls to you, then it's natural. You need to, it calls to you. Don't reject it just because human interference has been happening. It's just what it is. Now, there is a question that this brings up as to whether heat-treated amethyst, which has turned itself into citrine, is not as good, or if it works differently, or if you shouldn't even bother. But what's that? Thank you, Neshi. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Is it different energetically over natural citrine? Now, I would say yes, it is. There is a difference in energy, but that the heat treated, we'll call it heat treated citrine for now anyway, that has a slightly, I suppose, not quite the power of a natural citrine. It's there, and it is, because of the color, it resonates at the citrine level, but it hasn't got the natural power of a natural citrine. So it works, I suppose. It's a more gentle kind of effect. Might take longer for its full effect to take hold. So the effect is still there, and it's still good. It's still a crystal, and I still love mine. So it's still good. But let's just have a quick talk about how to tell a natural citrine from a heat treated. Well, let's bring these two pictures up. There's one and there's another. So both of these are heat treated. Firstly, the form of the one on the right, as you're looking at your screen, is the one that I told you about. But when it comes in a tumblestone like that, how do you tell? The easiest way to tell is heat treated normally has white areas, white clear areas that are quite distinct, and it's normally quite dark. A dark orange, even into a light brown kind of color. So that's how you tell. Well, that's one of the ways you can tell, but it does get a lot more complicated because there is a quite a dark natural citrine called Madeira citrine, but that is quite rare, and you probably won't come across it. So there you go. Ooh, I'll just turn that like that. That's better. So there you go. So that's one way. Now I have got a photo of a natural citrine on here. Let's just bring that one up. Where are you? Oh, there's oh yeah, I want to bring that one up as well. Let's just bring that one up and take that one off and bring that one back. So you can see, there we go. I did bring up an amethyst. The color rendition isn't brilliant, but you just gives you an idea. The right hand one, amethyst, that's quite obvious. The left hand one purports to be a citrine, but it is the heat treated. Now it just shows you how it just shows you in comparison that they're both pretty similar. And that's one of the reasons why the one on the left is heat treated. And if any of this is getting confusing, just make a comment and I'll go back. So comparatively, they're the same stone. One's been heat treated and the other is just no natural. And as I say, bring that one back up again so you can see citrine. When you see that in a store, it's heat treated. It's heat treated because citrine doesn't grow like that. What's Rob say? Hello, Rob. Hang on, I can't see this. I'm back. I love and show if I'm able. Thank you, Rob. Anyway, so that's citrine. Now I'm just going to go and find my natural one on a photo for you. As it is here, I know because I put it on here somewhere. So here we go, and there it is. Now I put this on a light source so to give it better definition. Let's solo that. So natural citrine is normally very light, quite pale, light to darkish yellow. Citrine, obviously coming from the French for lemon, citrus, citron. Anyway, citrine, yellow. So there you go. So that's natural. That one natural. Okay, Margaret. So are they the same? Now, which ones? I've just gone through quite a lot there. Which are the same? Do you mean the two tooth-like ones, the amethyst and the citrine one that I said? Effectively, they are the same. One was heat treated, which changes its color. Now, that is what Mother Earth does, in effect. Mother Earth cooks them in the way that she, yeah, okay. So, yes, they are the same, but one was heat treated and one was not. The heat treatment changes its color, which changes its energy. Oh dear, so if I, okay, so this is where, so if I saw a citrine like that this weekend, I should have bought it. The natural one, always. But, get there before I do, because I know I would. But anyway, back to Margaret's question. Yes, they are the same, but the heat treatment changes it, changes its color, changes its energy. Now, as I said right at the beginning, if you are drawn to it, don't get all questiony in your head. If you're drawn to it, thank you, Jocelyn, then you need it for a reason. It's always that way with stones. They call to us because they know we need them. They know better than us what we need. The reason I'm saying these things is because we as people should be informed as to what we're actually purchasing. Information, all this information is important, because we can actually be paying more for something because it's got a particular name when we shouldn't. In my opinion, it shouldn't. The current picture looks like yellow quartz. Nah, I can guarantee you that one's a citrine. I guarantee you that one. Yellow quartz is slightly different. The color isn't quite the same. So what's just so that is so true. When they call to us, we need to listen. Yes, exactly. So don't worry about it. Just know that one thing is natural and one thing has been treated in some way, and I'm gonna be coming on to some other bits later. And Carla Jo, yes. Now I have exactly the same problem, but more so because I can hear them now. They want me to just go and bring them all home, and so as I can love them all. But I don't think I'm allowed. The bank balance won't let me. But anyway, that's by the by. But it is an interesting thing to come on to in a little while, about when you hear all that noise from them all, which ones you should be thinking about more over the others. So I'm going to come to that a little later. So let's just drop these photos out for now and bring up some more. So next up is one of my favorites. When I can find it, there it is. One of my absolute favorites. And here we go, Merlinite. There, Merlinite. I am very connected with this stone. But there are variations that you need to know about. Now, the best Merlinite is, now this is going to get technical. I'll just bring this up from Margaret. That makes sense since they are the same. So being informed for price when it calls. Yes, absolutely. That's all I'm trying to do here. Just give you information that you know what you're looking at when you're in the store. If it calls to you, fine. If it calls to you and they're charging an arm and a leg for it, then you have to question it. Now, there's the other point is, and Molly, yes, that is correct. I'm pressing buttons willy-nilly here. Yeah, Merlinite, as Merlin, the great druid himself. I'm just going to drop that down a minute and bring me back. So, now where was that other comment? I'm bringing Margaret back there. So, the thing is, not all store owners have this knowledge either. When they acquire their stock, they may not be aware that some of the pieces that they have been treated in some way. They just might not know. So I'm not saying that store owners are trying to pull a fast one, because in my experience, they're generally not. They're generally taking what information they have been given and running with it. But so, this is just helping you people out to get. So it's not necessarily the store owners. They may not know this either. But when you go in, you'll be able to teach them. So it's all good. So back to the Merlinite. And let's bring him back. There he is. So, Polly Jo says it's one of her favourites as well. Yes. Now, Merlinite has, under the same name, a couple of forms that you may find. Now, generally, it's called Merlinite. Now, that's not its technical name. Technically, this is dendritic chalcedony, or it could be called dendritic agate. Now, that's the same thing. Those two names are interchangeable. The one that is often sold as Merlinite can be dendritic opal. If it's dendritic opal, it's not the true Merlinite. It looks pretty much identical, but it's not the same. There you go. Now, if I brought up a piece of dendritic opal, you'd probably think that looks that is the same thing, but it's not. That's where you're going to have to ask some questions. Now, the pieces that I have, and I only have a few, I've bought from one person, and this guy, well, is a guy and his wife. They have their own rock and crystal business. I've met them, and they are honest. They tell me what is what, with all their stock. If I've asked, is this an amethyst? If is this treated amethyst, they will say yes, it is. So they are honest people, and these are the people that I will buy my Merlinite from, because they know what they should be buying and what they should be selling it as. So, one person over here anyway. So there you go, Merlinite, dendritic chalcedony / agate. Now, chalcedony, I'll just go on to that for a moment, if I may. That is a umbrella term in a way. Chalcedony has a couple of forms, possibly more, depending on who you talk to. But agate and jasper are forms of chalcedony. So we're getting into the realms of lots of different names. So there you go. If you're going for merlinite, true merlinite, dendritic chalcedony / agate, that's the stone, and that's pretty powerful stuff. And it really does connect with ancient magic, as the name would suggest. Now, there is another one called Mystic Merlinite. I haven't got any of that. It's never called to me. The reason why it's never called to me is Mystic Merlinite was a trade name at one point, but it didn't last very long. That is okay. Mystic Merlinite is a trade name. Its true name is either Indigo Gabbro or Madagascan Gabbro. It's a completely different stone and shouldn't be confused. They look completely different. It's some more evenly coloured, but with, purpley stuff. It's quite a pretty stone, but I just don't have any. It's one of those ones that hasn't called to me. Perhaps it will in the future. Let's find out. So Indigo Gabbro or Madagascan Gabbro, that's Mystic Merlinite and completely different and nothing to do with the same. So that's that one. But if you do see the term chalcedony, it's going to either be an agate or a jasper. Jaspers being opaque, agates can be translucent. They do look quite different, but they are in the same family, like all the quartzes, the big quartz family. So there you go. So that's that one. How am I doing? Is everybody with me so far? Is anybody still watching? I don't even know. Looks like everybody's gone away. I'm going to keep going though. Okay, so what's next? What did I come up with for the next bit? I'm just bringing up some more pictures here. What was the next one? Yes, this is an important one. Here we go. How about that? A bright blue quartz. This is an important teaching tool, this one, because this is technically called smelt quartz. And it's completely man-made. Now, what they do with these is they melt quartz and mix it with glass and form it into shapes and generally colour it. Yes, that's what I thought. Oh, the horror. So if you ever see a description calling itself smelt quartz, it's completely man-made. So there you go. And they can come up with all sorts of colours and all sorts of names for it, but it isn't real. And you can tell when you start looking at it in the light. In fact, a lot of the ones that have got bright colours on them are generally coloured in some way. They're generally dyed or coloured in some other form. So if you ever see smelt quartz, it ain't real. How's about that? And talking about not real, one piece of advice when you're in a store, at a show, looking on the internet, is be wary of trademarks or trade names. If somebody has to go to the extent of trademarking the name of a stone, then that for me throws up all sorts of red flags. And I'm sure a lot of you have seen trademark names, and there's some famous ones out there. My opinion is that coming up with a clever name for something and then telling people what it does or doesn't do isn't the same as being real. Many of the trademark names are simply more regular stones and crystals given a fancy name. That's just what I think. So I stay away from them. What do you think? Let's have a discussion. So there we go. So that's that rant over. Now, what else have I got in my pretties on the show today? Yes. Let's have where have they gone? I don't know. I thought I had some smoky quartz and clear quartz. Okay, I'm going to bring this one up because, again, clear quartz. Clear quartz and smoky quartz are quite common. Every store has got clear quartz and every store's got smoky quartz. You have to, the smoky quartzes that I have are natural. But would you believe that there are people irradiating quartz to make them darker? But well, they are doing it. Now, smoky quartz can get quite dark, but when it gets really dark, like black, that's generally being irradiated. But there is a form of quartz that is naturally black called Morian quartz. A Morian quartz formed like this, which is black, is probably natural. I think there's Poland. Generally, they're mined. They crop up from around uranium deposits. So if there's been uranium mined in an area and they find quartz, it's usually quite black. That's called Morian quartz. So they can be natural, but one of the ways to tell if it's been unnaturally irradiated is if you keep it in sunlight, it will fade very, very quickly. So the people are even doing that. So we need to know. But you can tell the difference between a clear and a smoky quite easily. Even just a slight smoky colour to them is it's easy to tell when they're side by side. And that's what I was trying to bring up, but I can't find the photos now. So never mind. What else have we got today? Where my picture's gone? There we go. And here we go. So, no, no, I can't find those. Oh well, never mind. No, so you're stuck with my face for a little while then. Anyway, so what else has been on my mind? Let me think. Oh yeah, turquoise. Turquoise is a pretty pricey stone. And I think a lot of what you will find out and about would be dyed howlite, which is very difficult to tell when you stick them side by side. There are technical ways you can tell. I'm not very confident in them myself, and I don't have any natural turquoise, mainly because it's quite expensive. It's very expensive, and that's one of the reasons why they dye howlite to look like turquoise. Means you can have a piece of that looks like turquoise for a more reasonable cost. Howlite being not very expensive at all. But you need to know that it is out there, and if you're not sure, ask a question. Ask the question for the people in the store. If they know, they should tell you. If it's howlite that's been dyed, then treat it as howlite when you're working with it. Although there is some thought as to whether the change in colour will change its energy slightly. I would agree with that, but it's still howlite. It's just working in a slightly different way. Howlite is howlite, turquoise is turquoise. They're not the same. If you see anybody selling something called white turquoise, it's probably howlite. And there you go. So that's that bit. So yeah, there's lots of stuff going on. There's a lot of stuff that even I don't know what's going on, but you know, I'll learn it in the end, and when I learn it, so will you. So there you go. That's some of the important stuff that you kind of need to know. Now, who was it brought up a question earlier about, or a comment about? Oh, I've got lots of comments. Where did they all come from? I didn't even know. Right. Okay, everybody. Right, let's go through some of these. Anything? Right. So my thing seemed to have got stuck. Anyway. Right. Let's go with this. Okay. Carla. I've seen something called cherry quartz. Is it smelt? Not necessarily, but it might be coloured. If it's a really vivid colour, it's probably been coloured in some way. There are pink quartzes. There are I've seen one called strawberry quartz, but it looks natural in colour. There are blue quartzes that are natural in colour. You kind of need to ask lots of questions. Without seeing it, I couldn't say for certain off the top of my head. Okay, here's a good one. How do I know trademarks? It will offer you a a certificate of authenticity card normally, and they normally have a TM next to their name in advertising. That's generally how that works. Now, where is that other one? There's a quest. How do you did that one? I'm not very good at this with this machine. Oh no. Where has it gone? There we go. All the stones call to me. Yeah. So let's have a little bit of a think about that. Anyway, so all, yes, Rob, like late night TV ads, definitely. So what do you do when all the stones are calling to you? You take a deep breath and just ask everybody just to stop shouting all at once and just ask the one that you are supposed to go home with, shine that little bit brighter. That's what I do. I usually end up taking more than one home anyway. Okay, back to the Cherry Quartz. Yeah, this had streaks of red that seemed it was long fractures. It could be natural. I doubt it's smelt. Smelt is always a solid block of colour because of the way they're made. So it's definitely not smelt quartz. It could be dyed or it could be natural. You'd have to ask the question to the person selling it and see what they say. All right, let's back to the Neshi. For me, it will. Oh no, for me it will vibrate in my left hand if it's the real deal. Yes. Once you get to, the more confident you get with working with the stones, the more you'll feel the natural vibrational energy. When we there's the Neshi's question. When we hold a stone or crystal, is there a way to feel or sense if it's real or manufactured? Yes. When you've worked with a particular stone for a good amount of time, you'll feel more confident in its in feeling its natural vibrational energy. I'm very visual, so I see with the knowledge that I've gained, I see it more than in that respect. You know, it's one of those things where you kind of walk in through and you go, real, not real. You know, you kind of get that sense. Generally, if they've got with quartz and colorization, if it's very vivid, it's been dyed. If it's looks as part of the crystal, it's probably natural. Like I say, and if they've got very fruity names, apart from strawberry quartz, which I know is a real one, then it's probably been dyed. But dyeing, actually, it's easy to see a dyed crystal because it's solid. You know, there's no color variation within it as it's formed. So you know, you don't get the clear areas and running into the into the coloured areas. So you can see it. You can just see it. Honestly, you can. So there you go. What else? If anybody's got any other questions, keep posting. Now I found them again. Where was I? Oh, yeah, that was another one. What about going off the real or manufactured for a moment? There are to be able to have these crystals, they do have to be taken from the ground. So, that can be quite traumatic. And depending on how they've been extracted, the crystals themselves can be traumatized by it. Many of them, especially the newer ones being discovered, they know what's happening. They've almost agreed to it in a way to come and help us. They are sacrificing themselves from their home and coming up into the daylight to help us, to guide us, to work with us, to help heal us. But what about the ones that are traumatized by it? Then perhaps, oops, I nearly pressed the wrong button then perhaps it we need to find those and help their healing. You may find them in the store. There'll be a crystal here, a crystal there, or many crystals that feel different to the others. They've not been sympathetically taken from the ground, and it can hurt them. So it's like you go to the rescue centre for a cat or a dog and there's one and it's just holding back. It's not in a good place, and it's the one you want to take home and love and show it a good a good home, bring it back to health. And if we do find those, then maybe we should. There are always ones that are left on the back of the shelf that nobody gravitates to, and perhaps we should look at them more. Perhaps within their own trauma, they've got a way to help us find our own healing for our own trauma. So watch out for those, because they shouldn't be left on the shelf abandoned. So anyway, that's just another thing for you to think about when you're looking at all the pretty things in the stores. Which brings me to another point, interestingly enough. When we go in and then we have natural stones, rough stones sometimes called. We have tumble stones, we have slices, we have natural points, we have carved stones now. and polished points and so on and so on and so on. Now, so this is another question that we need to consider. Does polishing alter the stone? In one way, yes, because it's been polished. Does it alter its nature? In my view, no, because it still is what it is. It may have been polished to reveal the true beauty of it, but that doesn't change its nature. Does it change the stone's energy is another question I've been asked. And I've thought about this a lot, and some people say yes, other people say no. I look at it and say its energy is the same. Its energy doesn't change, its nature doesn't change, the way it works doesn't change, because the stone knows what it is. The stone knows itself. The stone and crystal, they know what their energy is. They know. There's a good point, Rob. Aren't we all polished by life? Yes. So that, who was it? There was a Persian poet called Rumi. I'm sure many of you have heard of him. And one of the lines from his work is, if you are irritated by every rub, how will your mirror ever be polished? So there's two schools of thought. Polishing changes things and polishing just reveals things. I am, after much thought, on the side of polishing reveals. However, that polishing, as Rob says, polished by life, that polishing can be quite traumatic. So, give them some love, give them some cleansing, give them some time to breathe and relax. Cherish them and look after them. And then start working with them. So there you go. What does anybody else think? You can jump to either side of the argument and make great cases for both. I mean, I love raw crystals. I have many raw, unpolished stones, and I love them all just as much as all the pretty shiny polished ones. So there's the other question. There's the other idea that in that polishing they are more easy to work with. They're in a particular shape that we can work with more easily. I mean, sometimes the shapes and things, I think I've said it before, say more about us than they say about the stones. The stones will work whether they're polished or not. But polished stones are all out there, so we can't ignore those either. It's just another way of working. It's just another way of working. But love them and take care of them. And if they are not feeling at their best after their polishing, then, again, that's for us. And that's it. Polly's just said it more easily than I've been trying to. Just give them a little bit more love, because they're going to, we all know what it's like when we've been polished. So it's just another way of just to take care of them. That's just that little bit more. I think there was something else that I was going to mention. I can't remember what it was now. I got on a roll there. So yeah, take care of them. Here's another one. Just on the last couple of minutes here. I'm just briefly touching on grids. We work with grids, we do grids, and so on and so forth. When we take the grid down, I've read in some of the literature, yes, cleanse the stones, clear the energy, and so on, or do the usual stuff, close the grid down in a normal way. I'm not going to go into that now, we haven't got time, but some people have said then take the stones, put them in a drawer, let them rest. I disagree with that one completely, because I wouldn't want to be shut into a drawer, so I want to be out in the light. Well, the crystals, they're out in the light, let them be out in the light. Not necessarily in direct sunlight, because that can fade them, you know that. That's an interesting one. How do you treat them with extra care? The same way as you would a person. Give them Reiki, give them love, give them energy, let them be in the sunlight, let them be in the moonlight, cleanse them with sage. Don't cleanse them with salt, because that can be quite harsh on some of them. I generally stay away from water as well, because that can dissolve some of them. So all your normal cleansing methods, and so on and so forth. Moonlight, yeah, all the normal cleansing and energy charging that you can do. Just do them all. But don't shut them away. They like to be out. They want to be out. They want to talk to all their friends. It's don't lock them away anywhere. That's not nice. And talk to them properly. This is one of my big rants. Every piece of literature you'll read will talk about programming crystals. Don't program crystals. They talk about programming crystals and setting your intent and so on and so forth. Just don't. If you're going to do some work with one of your crystals or several of your crystals or on a grid or whatever it may be you're working, talk to them, ask them for their help with the issue that you need to be working with. You don't try and program it. That's just rude. It's rude, and yeah, I don't want to be programmed, so I don't try and program my crystals. So treat them like you would want to be treated. Talk to them as you would want to be spoken to, rather. I see every single one as a living being with its own spirit, and they should be exactly, Polly. That's it. Ask them for their help, for their assistance, for their guidance. Talk to them in the right way, and I can promise you that everything will work better. Guaranteed. 100%. If talk to them, and everything will work better because they're clearer. they're all they are clear on what you need, and I just gaze around looking at them while I'm talking. So there you go. What's that one? A medicine bag with 6 healing stones. Recently, I was at home and found them all in a potted plant. Perhaps the plant needed to be the work of the stones. This is a funny one. Just before we go, I know I'm out of time, but um, then I'd ask her. Perhaps she didn't really understand, because people don't. So people don't often understand in what we're giving them. I've had that before. Don't take it to heart. They need their own education. They need the education that you've already had. But just before I go, my niece brought my mum some flowers. This was a couple of months ago, for Mother's Day. Mother's Day over here is done differently to over in the States. So I put them in the vase, put them on the hearth where she can see them. A month later, they were still good, just topped up with a little bit of water. They were still good. They were still quite healthy. And our Sam was really surprised. She couldn't believe it, that these flowers were still so vibrant after a month, literally a month. I'm not making this up. And she said, I can't believe that they've lasted that long. And I said, well, why not? Look at what they're stood next to. And she looked, and I've got a rather nice large piece of rose quartz in the front room for Mum, and they've been stood next to it for a month. So, just one more small piece of evidence of how effective and amazing crystals are. So there you go. If there are questions of what I've been rattling on about this morning, if you've got any other questions, post them on the Starter Stone page, and I will do my best to answer them. And if you've got any other questions, post them as well, because I'll try and answer those too. So, I just want to check this. I've just got a message. Cherry from. Okay, I know I'm running over time, but I'm going to say this now anyway, because I need to. There are 3 people on the planet that I trust implicitly when it comes to stones and crystals. There's 2 over here. There's what was it? There's 2. There's Dave and Dawn, who've got who do some of the shows that I've been to over here, and there's Shohab, who again, I've only met him at the shows, but all his crystals are just, and you can see how much they love them, literally love them. And when I'm over in the States, there's a store that I will go to, and that is Evolve in Glen Arbor. Is this advertising for them? A little bit, but I'm just trying to illustrate a point that when you talk to the people in the store, you will find that you will intuitively know whether you can trust them or not. Ask the questions that you know an answer to, like with the citrine. When they give you the correct answer or the truthful answer, then you know you can trust them. And So John and Sherry in Evolve in Glen Arbor, I know I can trust them. And so you will find them. They are, in fact, I believe most people are completely trustworthy, but you'll find the places that you can trust, you feel you connect with the most, and that you can trust what they're saying. So that's all I'm saying. They are there, and they're all wonderful people. So if you do get to Glen Arbor, pop in and tell them I sent you. And they will look after you, I can guarantee you that. So it's now 3:05. It's time for me to go, and I will be back next month with something else, which I don't know what it is yet, but I'll figure it out when we get there. Thank you to everybody for making your comments. I did lose them at one point. I don't know what I did. Me and computers, we're not the best of friends. So thank you everybody. Thank you everybody for joining me, and I hope you have a glorious and blessed day, and I will see you next month. So good night everybody, or good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you may be, and we'll see you again very soon.